Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another fabulous Friday Ramblings. I am your host, as always, David, aka the Bardic one, and we are here to blast you with a double dose of holiday cheer. This is part one of 2 episodes centering around Thanksgiving, specifically Thanksgiving animated specials. First one we're going to cover is not so much an animated special in the pure sense of the term, but the Thanksgiving-themed episodes of the animated series Bob's Burgers. Now, the reason we're going to talk about this is, besides the fact that Bob's Burgers is an excellent show, I feel that its Thanksgiving episodes are some of the best episodes that the series has ever done. Big reason for this being that with Bob's Burgers centering around a character who is a cook by nature, a holiday that is iconic for its massive feasts, is pretty much a perfect fit. As such, these episodes tend to be very brilliantly written by and large. So, real quick, we're going to give you a breakdown for those of you who are not familiar with the show's Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers debuted in 2011 and is created by Lauren Bouchard, who has also served as scriptwriter for previous animated series very awkward pluraling there, such as Home Movies, Dr. Kat's Professional Therapist, Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil, and of course Bob's Burgers, along with being a voice actor on the Mr. Bean animated series, and My Gym Partner's a Monkey. Thus, this is somebody who knows a lot about writing for animation. The basics of Bob's Burgers is that it takes place in a small town in which the character of Bob Belcher runs a small burger-centric restaurant staffed by his wife and 3 quirky children. Now, by and large, you wouldn't think that would sound too great. Pretty much typical sitcom fare, right? Well, that's one of the strengths of the show because since it is a pretty basic sitcom setup, it allows the writing team to focus on making all of the characters memorable. And they are. Every character has their quirks and ongoing story arcs. And that's not just limited to the family. We also have regular characters such as Mort, who runs the funeral home next door. That's right, Mort, the Mortician. And Teddy, the handyman who eats at Bob's Burgers on a daily basis. And tends to not exactly be the most intelligent person in the world. Now, in most Thanksgiving episodes, which is what we're going to focus on here, now that we've laid the basic groundwork, I'm going to build on it now. For the series, they almost always center around Bob, even though many episodes of the regular series do focus on the children and wife Linda just as much, being the cook du jour. Thanksgiving is Bob's favorite day of the year, and he adores it. He loves cooking that turkey. It is his time to shine. Now, Bob, being a quirky person himself, a lot of his habits take center stage on these Thanksgiving episodes, such as his awkward sense of humor full of bad puns, and his habit of working through nervous situations and the occasional moral conflict via ventriloquism of his cooking utensils. Let it be known, if you have ever wanted to see an animated man give voice and personality to a spatula, Bob's Burgers is the show for you. The show is currently in its 11th season, however, only 8 seasons have had Thanksgiving episodes. So we're going to do a quick rundown of these episodes to make sure you are ready to give this show a try, or if you are already a watcher, to remind you what episodes to track down for a Thanksgiving-themed binge in the days before Thanksgiving Day. In more recent seasons, we had I, Bob Your Pardon, which finds the Belchers going on a quest around town to save a pardoned turkey from the town's deputy mayor. This is kind of a common theme in a lot of regular episodes of the series, where the Belchers, in classic sitcom fashion, find themselves basically dragged into an adventure against their will. Because, as I said, it's classic sitcom writing. Not the best Thanksgiving episode in the world, but it's a good warm-up for what else comes around. We also have Now We're Not Cooking with Gas, in which Bob finally obtains a rare Riverbrook Lake Farms heritage turkey after years of being on the company's waiting list. As these turkeys are so rare, there is only a finite number available any Thanksgiving season. Unfortunately, the whole neighborhood loses their access to cooking gas, and therefore Bob's gas-powered oven will not work. So the episode centers around Bob's desperate attempts to find an alternate way to cook the turkey so that his dreams of tasting the tastiest of all Tom turkeys does not go up in flames. We also have the Quirk-Deucers, which serves as a nice little satirical salute to classic play/movie The Producers, in which the Belcher kids take center stage for once, trying to put on a Thanksgiving play so god-awful and offensive that the play will get canceled before it gets too far in, and everybody will be sent home, giving them an extra half-day vacation before Thanksgiving Day, which is, of course, traditionally a school holiday. However, as tends to happen when you think you have everything figured out, things do not go according to plan, and the Belcher kids, horribly graphic and gratuitous, and not like adult, intimate way, like, think more like Halloween blood and guts, gratuitous, graphic. They're children. Don't be weird. I see you watching from the back. Don't be weird. But yes, when it turns out the play is not as reviled and hated by the audience as they initially hoped, the kids quickly find themselves in a situation where they may in fact be putting on one of the most, in good ways, memorable Thanksgiving play in the school's history. You also have Gail making Bob's sled. And Gail is Mrs. Belcher's sister. This makes her the sister-in-law of Bob, and in a show full of people with tiny little mental issues, Gail is the mountaintop that they all descend from. Gail's purpose on the show is to be the strangest of the strange. This is a woman who is barely functional in her life. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, hey, this show isn't making fun of the people out there with mental health issues, is it? Well, technically yes, but it's all in a good way because Gale is portrayed as a good character who has a wonderful heart. While Bob does get very exasperated with her, especially in this episode, Gale herself is not portrayed as a bad person, simply a person who has problems dealing with day-to-day reality, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let's be honest. Nobody's ever accused me of always being in full control and dealing well with surprise situations either, folks. So, we're laughing with Gale, not at Gale. In this particular case, though, it is all about trying to get Gale from her apartment to the Belcher family residence for Thanksgiving dinner due to the massive snowstorm in town. Bob has to go do it himself, as Linda, shown in quick flashback, is the last person in the world you want driving in snow. Thus, Bob and Gale manage to do pretty much everything hilariously horrible you can do trying to get from point A to point B, while the family has to try and cook the dinner instead due to the many comedic delays, thus resulting in a Thanksgiving meal that would pretty much scare anybody. While it is more of a generalized Gale-Bob fun episode against a Thanksgiving backdrop, it is a good one simply for the wonderfully heartwarming Thanksgiving toast at the end, featuring one of the greatest heartstring tugging lines in the series, which is, quote, "And maybe it's good to be annoyed by your family, because that means you have one." Now, we're going to bounce back around to an episode focusing on family friend Teddy that we mentioned at the start of this episode. That's right, Teddy gets to host his own family Thanksgiving this year, which is a first for him, and recruits the Belchers to help out as he is extremely nervous and panicky. However, once the Belchers get there, they realize Teddy's been holding back on the full details of why he's so panicking. Specifically, about half his apartment is filled to the brim with various things he has been hoarding over the years. Thus, we get a nice mix of a Thanksgiving episode and a satire on the old hoarding addict reality shows that were kind of floating around a bit in years previous. Also, as I said, gives Teddy a bit of a spotlight, showing him in more of his natural environment and his life away from the Belchers. One of the better Teddy episodes, because it isn't so much directly about Teddy's relationship to the Belchers, but the kind of person that would willingly hang out with the Belchers, not only on a regular basis, but occasionally seek out extra time with the Belchers. Teddy can be a bit of a sad, lonely man, but you know what? We've all been there. Now, this pulls us up to our final three. The three best Thanksgiving-centric episodes of Bob's Burgers. Now, this is not officially a countdown, because most of those first entries, I was pretty much just taking them as my notes, threw them up, going through the episode list and going, oh yeah, that was a Thanksgiving one. Oh yeah, that was a Thanksgiving one. These I'm not presenting in necessarily my favorite order, because frankly they all kind of compete for first place depending on my mood. We have, in the original Thanksgiving special, an indecent Thanksgiving proposal, which centers around the character of Mr. Fischoeder, who is the landlord for their building, which houses both their restaurant and their actual apartment dwelling. It's, one of those like restaurant on the bottom floor, home above things. Now the fun part is, for those of you who are fans of comedy movies, especially ones from the 80s and early 90s, early mid 90s too, those few of them, Calvin Fischoeder is voiced by Kevin Kline, who, again, is a great actor. He's won an Oscar and 3 Tony Awards. If you want to see some great movies to demonstrate his comedic brilliance, he did voices for Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Road to El Dorado, as well as being star in In-N-Out and Wild Wild West, among such classics as A Fish Called Wanda and its spiritual sequel, Fierce Creatures. So, he's a great guy. Oh, also was in the 2006 remake of Pink Panther. So, always fun to see him show up. Wonderful actor. Now, the Fischoeders, because we do occasionally in later seasons get introduced to his brother, but Calvin Fischoeder is the perfect example of the reality-detached, richer than he knows what to do with guy. Besides owning the Belcher's building, he also owns pretty much every local business's property and the dock-centric theme park known as Wonder Wharf that features in most episodes of Bob's Burgers. As such, Mr. Fischoeder uses that pull to essentially blackmail the Belcher family minus Bob, imposing as his family so he can impress an old flame that he has convinced to join him for a Thanksgiving date. Bob himself gets to portray the cook because Mr. Fischoeder, being a rich old dude, does not do his own cooking, let alone cooking impressive enough to woo a romantic partner. Unfortunately, Bob does not deal well with spending Thanksgiving with his family, but not spending it with his family due to him posing as the cook, and Mr. Fischoeder playing his familiar role as the father of the family, leading to a little bit of a short-term nervous breakdown. This leads to some great sequences that set a lot of the standards for Mr. Fischoeder's relationship with the Belcher family, as this was a season 3 episode and very early into the show's run, wherein he tends to rely on them for his various schemes, or occasionally serves as a prop for the Belcher family's schemes, creating kind of a back and forth dichotomy of messing around with each other, as well as the fact that Mr. Fischoeder tends to con them into things by reminding them that they are constantly behind on their rent. If you do like Kevin Kline, if you do want to see what makes his Mr. Fischoeder character one of the greatest recurring characters in the show, and get you plenty of animated turkey visuals, check this one out, folks. It was the first Thanksgiving special and set the standard for everyone to follow. We then end up with Turkey in a Can, which followed 1 year later. In this one, Bob has gotten himself worked up extra high gear due to the fact he is trying a new 3-day brine recipe. Those of you not familiar with cooking, brining is treating food with brine or coarse salt, which preserves and seasons the food while enhancing tenderness and flavor with additions such as herbs, spices, sugars, caramels, and oftentimes vinegar. This kind of makes brining very similar to a marinating process. Although, because there's different base ingredients involved, it gets a different label. But yes, this means Bob's mentality and nervousness is higher than usual and causes him to be extra worked up, especially when the turkey finds its way out of the freezer and into the toilet. Nobody fesses up to it, angering Bob, who has to purchase another turkey. Unfortunately, this also limits the amount of time it can sit in the brine. And when it's all said and done, the second turkey ends up in the toilet as well. We go for a third round, and we find that everybody in the whole family is now getting frustrated, nervous, and anxious because somebody is sabotaging Thanksgiving dinner and nobody is claiming that they are the guilty party. I'm not going to spoil this ending for you, but let's just say that it is well done and culminates in everybody coming to understandings about their own personal priorities here on Thanksgiving. Now, part of the fun of this episode is it also heavily involves Gail once again, along with seeing Bob having to buy multiple turkeys from the same local grocery store, creating some amusing conversations with the fresh meat butcher deli head. Different grocery stores have different labels for that position. But yes, the gentleman in charge of making sure there are fresh turkeys for everybody in town. Bob's buying of so many turkeys day after day creates some fun miscommunication conversations between the two of them. As well as, once again, featuring a nice, uplifting, family bonding moral. So finally, we get to the last one. The one that, most of the time, about 50-50 of the time, I would consider the best Thanksgiving episode, and thus one of the best episodes of Bob's Burgers in general. From Season 5, we get Dawn of the Peck, in which Thanksgiving borrows a little pinch of Halloween tension with a satire of the Dawn of the Dead movie, aka classic zombiness, due to a turkey run being sponsored by the Fish Odor Brothers, which results in a large amount of turkeys being let loose at Wonder Wharf, who decide that they are going to peck any human they get near due to their own messed up ideas about, hey, would it be fun to be forced into a turkey trot? As well as a gang leader, turkey, who is a little angry and missing an eye. This is a great episode because, one, Bob does not want to participate in the turkey trot shenanigans as it takes place on Thanksgiving Day and basically would prevent a family Thanksgiving dinner, greatly upsetting him as he views the Thanksgiving dinner as the best and most important family dinner of the year, which we have previously discussed, leading to some drinking, utensil ventriloquism, and when it's all said and done, his attempts to make things right without realizing about the turkey threat slowly consuming the town. On top of all this, because it takes place at Wonder Wharf as a town-wide festival, we get screen time with not just the Belchers, the Fish Odors, and our buddy Teddy, but pretty much everybody in the show that had been introduced up to this point, including fan favorite Rudy, whose asthma tends to keep him from being the most courageous person in the world, but doesn't stop him from wanting to be knee-deep in the shenanigans, as Rudy's always ready to live life to the fullest as long as he has his inhaler with him. Plus, as a guy who adores all things Halloween, seeing a Thanksgiving special roll over some Halloween leftovers with this zombie apocalypse satire just creates the perfect casserole of dining delight. So, if you want to get a view of pretty much the whole cast, as well as a nice little feel for what Thanksgiving going against the grain can do to Bob's occasionally fragile psyche, check out Dawn of the Peck. As I said, personally, if I were you and I had access to the show, I would just marathon everything. Start with Dawn of the Peck, finish with it. Hey, it's your entertainment buffet. You take these dishes in whatever order sounds best for you. So, where does that leave us? Well, we're all out of Thanksgiving specials, at least for now. The show is still being produced. So, who knows, in a few more years, we may have a few more Thanksgiving episodes. For now, though, we are going to sign off and say, appreciate you watching. We hope you're starting to get hungry for Thanksgiving dinner. And when it's all said and done, remember, every holiday is important. Thanksgiving features food, family, festive feelings, and many other words that start with F that I cannot currently think of. Alliteration is awesome. Let's all work on it together. If these Thanksgiving episodes entertain you super much, check out other episodes of Bob's Burgers. If you really can't get enough holidays, there are some great Halloween and Christmas episodes as well, on top of all the other episodes that fill the seasons out, only a handful of which I really consider weak and not worth watching. Frankly put, basically every episode of Bob's Burgers is worth watching, some just a little more so than others. So, go grab yourself a turkey sandwich, come back here in 7 days because we have some more turkey-flavored specials to throw your way. It's animated. It's not so much action-packed, but it is entertaining. 2 thumbs. 2 turkey Thanksgiving thumbs. We're coming at you every week. So subscribe, like, comment, and enjoy your life, because this is all about entertainment. We are Roulette Productions, and we enjoy the holidays. Peace.